and welcome. I'm TJ Walker. These are live office hours. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts about public speaking, communication, personal development, then this is the place for you. We come here every single week this time and just have a free forum. And it's a place for community to share, people who care about building personal skills, business skills, communication skills, and improving life. Special welcome to all my students from Udemy, Skillshare, HeyTutor, one of our newest platforms, and so many others. Also a special hello to our community new to us through Ultimize, the personal development app. And hello, as always, to some of my longtime friends from Media Training Worldwide. Thanks to my co-host today, Barb. Barb, thanks so much for joining us. Barb Tomlin, our great community manager on Facebook, is joining us. Go ahead and say hello, Barb.
Howdy, everyone. It's great to be here with you all today.
And also my colleague from Media Training Worldwide, Jake Sen, is here with us. Say hello, Jake.
Great to see you all today.
So it's Sunday afternoon, I'm having a conversation with my wife, and I said, I got to get up extra early tomorrow because I've got to give a speech at 8 a.m. to a couple hundred students in India, in Indian University. She said, great, how much are you getting paid? I'm like, well, I'm not actually getting paid anything. She was not impressed. What do you want to do that for? You know, aren't you supposed to be some big shot? Aren't you supposed to be some pro speaking? And I said, yeah, but I do want to practice what I preach. Part of what I preach is don't say no to speaking opportunities unless there's a lot of travel involved or you have to carve out a whole day. But these days, if you can speak just from your own home, your own office, and the only net loss of time is the 20 minutes or the hour you're speaking, then I have a hard time justifying saying no, and for several reasons. One, if you want to be good at something, you need to do it regularly. You know, people forget the greatest speakers in the world are often the ones who speak the most. Martin Luther, and I'm not comparing myself to Martin Luther King Jr. or Bill Clinton, but one thing both of them have in common is they typically gave, and Bill Clinton to this day, gives about 300 speeches a year. So when you think of Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, people forget he gave 300 other speeches that year. So I gave the speech, and I thought everything went fine, good feedback. And then so many of the students who listened to me then went into my Ultimize app, downloaded the app, were nice enough to leave reviews. So anytime you speak, remember, it's not just about someone paying you money, although if you can get paid a nice fee, great, power to it. That's my revenue model sometimes. But it's always a chance to help other people put a spotlight on something you really care about. And that's one of the biggest pluses of speaking. The other thing is you never know what relationships form. So earlier this week, you heard me mention this last week, I have a new course called the Complete NFT course, Non-Fungible Tokens for Art. I'm doing this course with my daughter on the Udemy platform. And I was frankly struggling a little bit to get to 100 reviews. And then I realized, you know what? There was this group I gave a free speech to probably 4 or 5 years ago in Iran, of all places. So I reached out to the organizer of that group. He promoted my course to all of his community. Boom, another 20 reviews came in. And I think within another hour, I'll officially have more than 100 reviews for that course, which means it's likely to be, if not just a bestseller, a good chance it'll be the #1 bestseller by the first week of July. So let me share, and I'm not trying to pitch you to buy the course or review it, but let me just share with you what I'm talking about to give you a sense of why this is so significant to speak anytime you can. So I'm just going to share my screen. Here's my NFT course. And it has a lot of different content. I partnered with a world-renowned expert on non-fungible tokens. And there you can see it has 99 ratings. Now, the course is only 12 days old. But those of you who've ever made a course for Udemy, or if you're thinking about making a course for Udemy, the significant thing are these ratings, because anyone can make a course on Udemy. The problem is these days there's so much competition. It's very hard to cut through the clutter. So if you don't have lots and lots of these ratings, then it's virtually impossible to be seen. And you don't get shown by Udemy, you don't get on the first page, you're not a bestseller, then you get stuck in this downward spiral. No one sees it, therefore no one buys it, therefore no one sees it, and no one buys it. So that reason alone, I think, should be a good enough reason for you to speak out anytime you can for a student organization, a nonprofit, an organization that just can't afford you, maybe a trade association, especially these days when you can speak without having to leave your home or your office. Because you just never know when you're going to find people who are fans for what you do, who like you, who want to support you. And these days, whether you're writing a new book, doing an online course, developing an app, it is critical to have a core base of support, people who care about you, care about your ideas, are into what it is you do. Well, I'm into what you do, and I appreciate you spending time with me today, whether you're joining us live, whether you're watching this on demand on our Facebook page, on YouTube, or any other place. As always, this is a forum for you. So I'm the teacher for many of you, and we can't be there in the same campus where I have an open door and you walk in every Thursday at lunchtime, but I can be here for you right here virtually. So we are live. If you have questions about any one of my more than 222 courses you might be in, then this is the time to post the questions. And I also want to stress that this can be a place for you to not just get a question from me answered, but get feedback from the community. If you want to post a video of yourself speaking or spotlight a video you've already posted in the student forum, on the Facebook page, I'm happy to provide a critique. Barb will, as she's done so well so many times. Jake will be happy to do that. Jake is someone who has trained top officials, United Nations officials, financial service professionals all over the world. So the very same high-level critiques he's giving to these professionals are available to you right here. Plus, any of you watching can also watch them as well. So we're not officially in summer, but Barb, I know you've had some very hot weather out there. People in Southern California, Death Valley, some all-time highs. I'm getting, frankly, a little bit nervous because in another few weeks, my wife and daughter and I are about to take our family vacation. We are going out west, and we're going to the Grand Canyon. We're going to all the great national parks, the Yosemite and Mount Rushmore, Zion, Arches, Grand Canyon, and we'll be in Las Vegas too. So I'm getting a little bit nervous about the extreme heat. I know there's not supposed to be a lot of humidity, but at some point you can have zero heat. If it's 1,000 degrees, you're still going to bake. So Barb, do you have any tips for me? Or Jake, since you're out there already and you've already experienced some extremes in the heat?
Well, I spent most of my life in the Southwest, although I'm a native Oregonian, and right now, quite frankly, I am very happy to be where I'm at. But like you, I've got travel on my schedule this summer. I will be there probably most of the month of August and September, and hopefully we'll be able to stick around till Balloon Fiesta. That's in central New Mexico. But I've traveled all the Southwest. You're in for an awesome time. There is a YouTuber called Henry Trike-Life, and I think it's Henry Gyro Trike-Life. He changed his name to recently. And you need to look, check his channel out, because he will actually, through those, the flying trikes, take you on a tour of the Grand Canyon and so forth, and really get you hyped up on visiting, because there's nothing like it. There's also a huge Southwest group on Facebook with loads of photography, and I'd be happy to link you up with that group so you can kind of see what you're in for.
That's
But
really fun.
I will tell you that the same thing I tell all the folks who come to visit the Balloon Fiesta each year is that be prepared to dress in layers, whatever you do. In Arizona, you may find that you put shorts or even a swimsuit, and then wherever you are, it's just that hot, and it's dry heat. It's not like Florida. So
I
you
do
will have
remember
to.
the last time I was in Arizona, it was a family reunion, maybe 16 years ago, and going on some mountain that had a relatively high peak. It was probably 4 hours hike up, and we started off completely hot, shorts, t-shirt. By the time we got to the top, there was snow, we had rain, we had sleet. We experienced every single season of the year in sort of a 7-hour hike. It was a lot of fun, but it was it was quite the buffet of weather options.
Right. And
So
that's any time of the year, anytime. So you're fortunate to go in the summer, but just as you said, you can find snow. So the other thing is water. Absolutely making sure that you're well stocked with water. And I would also suggest making sure you get some, it's called Propel. That has electrolytes in it, so that if you're out there in the desert and you have a flat tire or something, you're going to need those electrolytes.
Oh, I'm not doing any driving. My wife and I are not big fans of driving at all. So
you're just going to fly to your destination, and
no, I'm not driving at all. I'm flying from here to Las Vegas. Everything else is going to be tour buses.
Okay. Well, right.
Flat tire. I'm going to be sitting back, relaxed in air conditioning.
I'm sure that they're going to, having been involved in that industry, most of my adult life, they will have all kinds of information to provide you to help make sure it's a magical time.
Now, you brought up water. Those of you in public speaking courses and media training courses know that I really do recommend that you have water handy when you're giving a speech, a presentation, or doing a media interview, because if you get nervous, you'll dry out more, and that'll make you more nervous. You can choke. When you're speaking and you're giving any kind of a speech or presentation, you're typically speaking louder than normal. That's pushing more air out over your vocal cords, drying them out. Easier to get dry, all the more reason. Barbie, you mentioned the need for drinking more water when you're in extreme heat. And that is an area where I do feel like I've made a lot of progress in recent years, because I have set myself daily reminders to drink more water. So now I do it through the Ultimize app. And so every day, first thing in the morning, I have a notification pop up just saying, reminder, drink a large glass of water first thing in the morning. And it's pretty automatic, but there's still days every once in a while. I mean, I typically go to Starbucks first thing in the morning, around 5:30, 5:45. I get a healthy vegetarian Impossible Burger breakfast sandwich. I do get a cup of coffee, and I get a very large water without ice. But there are times when I may be traveling or doing something different with the family, or just home on the weekends, and I don't go to Starbucks, and I will still forget to drink that large glass of water. Getting that notification coming in, and I'll get up and get it. So it almost doesn't matter how good you think your habits are. Having an extra reminder is incredibly helpful. And this was really documented in such a powerful way in a book, I think it's called The Checklist Manifesto by Atul Gawande. Jake, did I pronounce his name correctly? I know you're a fan of his work as well.
You did pronounce his name correctly.
Okay, so a great book, and he documents how there are so many people who are great world-class surgeons, but they still botch things if they rely on their memory. And no matter how well educated you are, top of your class at Harvard Medical School, simply following a checklist, get this scalpel, wash your hand, make sure mask on, just going through checklist every single time for every surgery dramatically saves lives. Now, fortunately, no one's entrusting these hands to cut them open and perform brain surgery or any other surgery, but we all have important things that we are trying to do and that we want to do to help ourselves. And that is the power of checklists. The problem with checklists, the problem with habits apps I've found is it's kind of boring. It's kind of tedious. And that's why I decided to create this app called Ultimize, because it's not something you have to open up every day and write down every calorie and everything you've eaten, because that just requires so much discipline, so much willpower. I wanted to make it easy for people. So let me just show you quickly what it is, and I'll share this screen. Oh, it says it was sharing it. Barb, did I do it the wrong way? Can we share the screen again? Now I'm hitting share screen. Okay. So this is Ultimize. You can go to ultimize.com, and if you have an Apple phone, you go to the App Store, obviously. If you have an Android, you go to the Play Store. But it's completely free at this stage, so you might as well enjoy it. If you're interested in hearing a little more about it, there's plenty of videos explaining it. And if you would like to even leave a review, it of course would be appreciated. I am happy to note that so many people have left reviews in just the last few days. But if all you do is type in, oh, it'd be nice if I spelled it correctly. All you have to do is type it in either Google Play or Apple, and you'll see it. So fortunately, it's a 5-star rated app at this point, and there's 17 reviews and a lot of others on the Apple Store as well. Let me tell you what's really most exciting to me. I'm in negotiations with a major technology firm headed by a PhD in machine learning, one of the foremost experts in the world on not just artificial intelligence, not just deep fake, or not just machine learning, but actual deep fake technology. Deep fake you may have heard about mostly in a negative sense of someone put a celebrity's face or an ex-romantic partner's face on top of a pornographic video. Clearly inappropriate, illegal, wrong to do. That's not what we're doing. But what we're doing is allowing you to put your own face on short video clips where you see someone perfectly healthy, exercising, drinking water, reading, any of the habits you aspire to have on a more regular basis. You'll be able to get short little instant burst, 5-second burst to come up right on your phone. And that's what will be happening in the next version of Ultimize. Jake, did someone write in with a question, or did you have a question? But if either of you could just state it out loud, that would be great. Jake or Barb, are you with me?
Enjoying it, by the way, and was wondering if there would be a lot of overlap if I got your complete presentation.
I apologize. The first part of your statement got cut off. Can you just start over with that, Jake?
Happy to. So Stephen Deigel says, hey, TJ, I have a question. I have your complete public speaking masterclass, and I'm enjoying it. So would there be a lot of overlap if I also got your complete presentation skills class too?
There is definitely a lot of similarity, and here's why. In my mind and in my world of in-person training, presentation skills and public speaking skills are the same thing. They really are the same thing. Now, in the broader consumer world, there are a lot of people who think, well, I don't ever give a public speech. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not Anthony Robbins up on a platform with 10,000 people. I just give presentations to 15 people at the Monday morning staff meeting. So in the consumer's mind, there is, in fact, this huge difference. But as a practical matter, anything you do in front of 10,000 people on a stage and it's effective, you should do that when you're talking to 20 people. Anything you do talking to 2 people that works will also work in front of 20 people or 20,000. There are some minor little differences as far as if you're on a stage with 10,000 people in the room, you would want to pause more. It takes a while for your sound to get around the room. I would walk a little more to create more variety, but 99% of what you do to give a good presentation, a good speech, a good talk, a good briefing, whether it's standing or seated, it's exactly the same. So my advice to you would be really embrace the course you're doing, do as much homework as you can, post as many videos as you can. And if you still feel like you're not in great shape, then try some of my other courses, but look carefully at the table of contents. You may want to learn more about media training, for example, and that course is completely different. You may aspire more to helping other colleagues in your organization when it comes to speaking better. So you may actually want the course on how to be a public speaking trainer. Even though you don't want to enter that as a profession, you may want that skill set to help people. So look around, and as always with all Udemy courses, if you buy it and it's not 100% what you like, well, one click, you get a full refund. So that's one reason why I think there is so much credibility with consumers and why Udemy has become the most popular platform ever when it comes to a marketplace for courses. Is there's a lot of trust there. And with a lot of organizations, if you've ever belonged to a Bally Gyms, I mean, trying to get out of a membership at Bally Gyms, you practically have to change your identity and hire 5 lawyers and close all your bank accounts. It's hard to get out of a contract with Bally Gyms. At least traditionally it's been. It's very, very easy to get all your money back from Udemy if for any reason you're not completely satisfied with the course. So always try it, cherry pick the videos you like. If you don't like it, try another way. It would cost you literally nothing. But thanks so much for the question, and I wish you luck there. Barb, did we have another question?
I don't have another question at the moment, but I wanted to jump in and comment on that, if you don't mind.
Sure.
As you know, I've taken over 400 courses on Udemy, and yours are top with me. And for everyone who's listening to this, there are repetitive sections that are actually available in other courses of TJ's, but they're there to give you the additional guidance. You can review them at any point in time. And my advice is the core that you're purchasing your course is, whatever that theme is, presentation, public speaking, personal development, you focus on that, and then the additional information that is there for you helps you to become better at whatever your mission is, whatever you selected that initial course for. So it's one of the best, in my opinion. And what attracted me to TJ is he was covering all the bases. So and it isn't about the money so much as it is making a difference in your life. And he's really at the top, in my humble opinion, of being able to deliver that. He's got over 1 million students enrolled in his courses, which is very impressive. And I was there when it was under 10,000. So I'm very loyal to that.
All the way. Thanks, Barb.
Yeah, and I don't want to make you blush, TJ, but the thing is that I've noticed with all studies on Udemy is it's really hard or I'm sorry, it's really easy to become discouraged when you look at, I've got 500 lessons to complete in this course I took. I'll never complete it. That is not the design. That was not TJ's mission. That's not the instructors overall on Udemy, their mission. Their mission is to give you the material so you'll have it in an easy to find place when you are studying something. So take care of the core stuff. And, you know, if that certificate is important to you, makes you feel better about, have a more positive experience about accomplishing the task, because you've paid for whatever that subject matter is, you've covered the bases there, and this is your bonus material. So take advantage of that, and you can click off those courses as finished and go back to them at any time, because the most beautiful thing about Udemy is you have lifetime access to the material. And the most awesome thing about TJ is he keeps his courses updated. So when you go and you look at his courses, you will see they're not back there at 2016, the last update. They're probably within the last month or two. So just be very aware of that. He's very cognizant of his student base on Udemy, as he is through his company. So tremendous value. So that's my spiel for today, TJ, and I'll get off and let you put some polish.
Oh, that reminds me of an old joke. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop.
Yeah. But
I appreciate the kind words. Let me plead guilty to one thing, though. I am quite repetitive in one subject, and it shows up in lectures in pretty much every course. And here's where I'm repetitive, and it annoys some people sometimes, and I know it. The repetition is practice your speech, your presentation, your talk, your media interview on video and look at it. Figure out what you like, what you don't like. Keep doing it until you like what you see. And then post it in the Facebook page or the forum for media critique and others. So I do repeat that because I found that is the single biggest thing that will help people. And inevitably, you know, every 6 months, someone will complain about that I repeated that. It's always, and I mean always, by someone who never did it once. They never once did the one thing I asked them to do, which is practice your presentation on video. Figure out what you like, don't like, keep doing it till you're happy with it. And so that's really my biggest frustration with online training. Now, there's been, as recently as today, there's front page stories in the New York Times by teachers talking about how awful online training is, how awful it is for public school students, younger kids, to have trained virtually for the last year. And there are definitely some challenges. I don't mean to sound like it's perfect. But I love online training. My biggest frustration, though, when it comes to helping people with a specific skill of public speaking or presenting or speaking to the media, is I can't do what I do in my live in-person workshops. You come to one of my live in-person workshops, you have no choice. I put a mic in your face, a camera on, light in your face, and I start asking you questions. So you don't really have a choice of whether you're going to speak on camera or not. You don't really have a choice whether you improve. You basically have to improve. So that's really my biggest frustration when it comes to online training, is I lose the ability to force you to do the one thing that will actually help you be a better speaker. Because learning how to be a better speaker is not the sort of thing where you can sort of sit back, watch videos passively, do a crossword puzzle, have the video rolling. There are some skills like that where it might help. Speaking is not one of them. The other thing I would point out with courses, whether it's my course or someone else's, where you may find duplication, typically the first hour of the course I have is content that you won't find anyplace else, and it's designed specifically to give you the most important concepts in that subject matter, because the research shows the vast majority of students don't go past the first hour. So I have 29, 30-hour courses. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be intimidated if you don't have 30 hours to allocate. If you have just 1 hour to really dive in, you'll quite often get the most important concepts and you will still improve dramatically. So thanks so much for those comments and thoughts. Again, if you're just joining us, we are open for your questions, your comments. This is live student office hours. So I have courses on a lot of different topics. Some of you might not even be aware of it. I have an old course just on how to appreciate drinking wine. So if you have any questions on drinking wine, we can even talk about those. So today is not just about public speaking. It's not just about NFTs. It's not just about any one of those things. It's about really any subject that relates to communication, personal development, any of my other courses, or also my new app, Ultimize, or anything else you want to talk about. So keep that in mind. Let's bring Jake in here in a moment. Jake, you've been going through some other intensive training lately when it comes to not just speaking on video, but how to speak effectively in marketing new ideas online. Anything you can share with our audience, because a lot of people come here, they come into the courses because they are looking for ways of not just being more confident, but how to speak, how specifically to speak in front of a video camera these days, and how to do it in a way that leads to some positive business end. Do you have anything you can share with our audience?
I do have some ideas to share. One of the biggest components about communicating an idea effectively online is the fact that most of the people who are going to be watching your content, listening to your content, or reading your content are not speaking English as their first language. So the best thing you can do is to communicate as simply as possible. You don't have to use really, really big fancy words. Just use really simple words so that more people can understand you and can follow along what you're saying. That's been the biggest thing I've learned in the past few weeks, and I've been working on, because I like reading books. I love trying out new words that I've read in books that I've never even pronounced before. But if you do that on video and you're sharing a word that you've heard for the first time, or that's really complicated, or that's in a textbook or jargon, then are you doing that for yourself, or are you doing that to communicate an idea to someone else? If you're trying to communicate an idea effectively, then you have to simplify it. You have to make it digestible for anyone and everyone. That's the most important thing I've learned in the past few weeks.
Slower is better, smaller words are better. One of my favorite quotes ever from Winston Churchill, and I'm paraphrasing it, is he would often chastise his staff, saying, remember, the eye can read complex words, multisyllable words, complex sentences. The ear cannot. The ear loves short sentences. The ear loves 1 and 2 syllable words. And he would pride himself in being able to give a complicated speech on major foreign policy issues, never using a word with more than 2 syllables. One of the surest signs of an insecure speaker is someone who feels the need to use all sorts of words. By the way, Barb, excellent juxtaposition between me and Jake on the screen right now. So, don't use a fancy word like juxtaposition if you could just say, I see both of us next to each other on the screen. So the simpler the word, the better. And speaking a little slower than usual. Here's the thing about slow. People are worried about, well, if I speak too slowly, people will think I'm talking down to them. The problem just then was not my speed. The problem was I was so consistent in my speed, it sounded robotic and condescending. So speaking a little bit slower than normal helps. and pausing a little bit longer in between thoughts, in between paragraphs, that helps as well. Okay. Barb says that Shiv is trying to reach out to us, and whether you can do it with video or audio or even typing in, we're happy to have you join us in any way. We always love it when people join through video. It's yet another chance to practice public speaking skills. But you need an office or something and it's not the right time and noisy place, you can type in your questions too.
Shiv has actually made a comment behind the scenes. He's trying really hard to get in here. He's 4 or 5 different times. I don't know what he is using for entry, whether he's using a smart device or a desktop, but we will try and help him with that so that he can do it. Join us on cam at some point soon. But he says, hello, everyone. I'm glad to see TJ and Barb live for the first time. I have your 2 courses in the Complete Communication Master Course and Confidence Building course. I love both of them. I have 2 questions for TJ. 1, who are the people you admire because of their communication skills, and why? And 2, how would you define the difference between soft skills and communication skills? And I'm going to get off and let you take care of that, TJ.
Well, soft skills and communication skills, the way most people in the training industry, in the HR world, think of it, they would say communication skills are a subset of soft skills. And they define soft skills as anything that really isn't purely technical, mathematical, scientific, that has extreme quantification. So accounting, Python, coding, those would be hard technical skills. Soft skills are things like, do you stare at the floor when you're talking to someone, or do you look them in the eye? Can you shake someone's hand, if people go back to shaking hands, without it being too hard and crushing their hand, or too limp and making it feel like a fish? So can you have a little small talk with people? Those are all considered soft skills. So traditionally, public speaking, communication skills are considered a subset of all these other skills. Like, do you know how to fit in with what you're wearing? If you go to a tech company and you wear a suit and tie, people are going to think you're crazy. That's a soft skill. You have to kind of look around and say, in my industry, what do people wear? They don't wear suits and ties. I got to fit in. So that's not a part of a public speaking skill, but it's a soft skill. Now, that's how the traditional industry thinks of it. I happen to take a completely different take. I personally do not put public speaking in the category of soft skill. I don't like it when something is called a soft skill. It seems mushy. It seems unquantifiable. It seems like a little puppy that you just have to like. I happen to believe that when it comes to public speaking, it is every bit as quantifiable as writing code for a computer software program. It's every bit as quantifiable as any aspect of accounting or physics. If you're giving a presentation, you can quantify how many of your messages were remembered by your audience. All you have to do is ask. The problem when it comes to public speaking skills, communication skills, is that most people hold themselves to low standards. Well, as long as I get through it and I don't say something stupid, as long as I get through my speech and I don't have flop sweat or drop the computer, I'm happy. That's a very low standard. I'm a big believer that with every presentation you give, you should have a clear focus on the 5 or fewer messages you're trying to communicate. And then when you're done, ask your audience what they remember. If they can't remember your messages, you have failed. You get 5 for 5, that's 100%. That's what you're looking for. So I do, and I'm being a little bit cute here because obviously the rest of the world thinks of public speaking as a soft skill, and I am a part of the world, so I have to give into that. But I do have my little take on it, where I think people should hold themselves much more accountable when it comes to every presentation they give. And then it could be just as much of a technical accomplishment if you communicate your goals as when you fix an air conditioner or create software that works flawlessly. Now, your first question was, who do I respect as a speaker? And there's just so many people I love. I mean, in the political world, of the really famous people in the last 40 years, I would say and forgive my US references, I would say Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan, former presidents. We're not getting involved with their politics today, just in terms of sheer speaking skill. Oprah Winfrey is a peerless communicator. Again, I'm giving US references. They're great speakers all over. Tony Blair, former Prime Minister of Great Britain, is someone I always thought was just a fabulous speaker. He could read the phone book, and I would want to listen more. There's so many great comedians, different styles. People don't think of him as a great public speaker. I love listening to Larry David speak in the format of his own comedy show. Not what we think of as standing on a stage, but it's a type of speaking. Who do you like? I would love to know. And the reason I like them is they're interesting, compelling, memorable. They connect with their audiences. They communicate messages. That's what I look for in a speaker. Someone who can speak to me, who's interesting, explaining ideas in a compelling way, interesting way, and a memorable way. Thanks so much for your question. And was that Mark's question, Barb, or did we have another question? Oh, Mark is asking
on the screen. Yeah, okay.
Mark is asking about my creativity course, where I specifically mentioned something I call createocracy. And this was an experiment of mine, frankly, is to see if I could try to coin a new word and get something going to allow people to think a little differently. I do think that all of us as human beings are born to be creative. You put a crayon in the hands of a 3-year-old, they're going to start creating. One of the reasons why children are so filled with joy is that in so many schools, or when they're home, they're creating all that. You create castles in a sandbox. You create finger paint. We as human beings are born creative. The problem is so many of us, as we get older, we're told, no, stay in the lines, get this answer right, focus on not getting a wrong answer, you got to get an A, and our creativity is snuffed out of us. And if you really want to live life to your maximum potential, if you really want to live life where you have a purpose that is fun for you and you've helped other people, I do think you have to be creative. And in order to do that, I think you have to think of yourself as a creative person. And I think you have to spend some time actively every single day creating, and that you need to be around people who create too. Doesn't mean you have to be rude to other family or friends, or people who may have mundane jobs and all they like to do in their off time is watch TV. We can have relationships with different types of people. But I think for you, in order to live life at your fullest, you need to be creative. And let me show you how simple it is. I mean, let me just share with you things I created this morning. All of them, none of them great enough that I'm ever going to sell them, and I typically don't even share these with anyone. But these are things I create every day, typically before 6 a.m. And it's not because I set an alarm. I'm a big fan of never having any alarms set. Sleep until you no longer need sleep is what I think is the best thing. Now, one of the things I do is I write a poem every day. I didn't say they're good poems, but I do write a poem every single day. And let me just see if I can pull one up from earlier today. I write in a journal every single day. So I write haiku, simple 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables, 3 lines. Nice to find passion, better to make a passion. No waiting involved. Just a little thought I had. Here's another one I wrote, I think, yesterday. Write your thoughts daily. Most of them will be garbage, but a few will shine. Just simple 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. I write in a journal every morning, one idea, typically 250 words, on some aspect of personal development. I also write in a personal journal about just what's going on in my life. These are all things I'm creating. I also try to create an aphorism, a short, thoughtful, philosophical little idea that I think might be of interest to other people. And let me just see if I can find one. Okay, here's one that I just wrote down today. The most neglected route to happiness is simply ignoring and forgetting stupid stuff other people say to you. May sound blindingly obvious, but it was just something that struck me, probably after someone said something really annoying, and I let it get under my skin. I let it bother me. So these are all things that anyone can do. I do them every single day. I have a whole series of things I do to create every single day. One of them is I do a simple drawing every day in less than 60 seconds. And that's what I mean by the createocracy. Consider yourself to be a creator. Your identity is so important when it comes to how you live your life, what habits you fulfill. Because too many people, even smart, intelligent, well-educated people, get into a rut. And they say, well, this is my job. I have to do this job for this paycheck. And then I'm going to come home and I'm just going to consume other people's creativity. I'm going to watch Netflix, watch sports, have my beer and go to sleep. And hey, I occasionally watch sports and I occasionally watch Netflix, but I'm going to spend time every single day creating. And I hope you do too. Thanks so much for the question. Or did I miss someone else's question? Or Mark asked, what are you reading this week? How do you read a book a day? So I have changed, in one of the courses I talk about, I read a book a day. I have changed that somewhat because I used to read a book a day, but one of those was an abridged version that I used. There's several different apps that give abridged versions of books. And I did that for a year or so, and then also listening to abridged audio versions of books. In the last 6 months, I've really shifted my thoughts and my focus, and that I've decided I want to go deeper, deeper, deeper. To me, one of the greatest assets you can have in life is the ability to really give sustained focus to a problem, to a solution. So one of the things I've done is I've tried to sort of eliminate things that are superficial in my life as far as consumption. So I no longer read the 10-minute abridged versions of books. I typically only read the thick, full version of a paperback book. So last night and this morning, I finished one book and I've almost finished the $1 billion app because I'm trying to figure out, not that I have to become a billionaire, but how to turn my own app, Ultimize, into something that actually helps 1 billion people. Which, by the way, if you want to become a billionaire, others have said this before, but it's absolutely true. The easiest way to do it is to help 1 billion people. Another book I just started yesterday was the Lean Startup by Eric Ries. And sometimes I like to read just one book and finish it, but quite often I get excited. I have 10 books. I'm reading in and out of them, but I do finish all of them. And I have this, I like to put a check mark, my initials, and the date. And I like to underline paperback books, the sections, and fold over the pages. I wouldn't do that in library books, but I do them. I mean, here's a part of my library over here. You can see these are books I've read just in the last 2 years in my own studio here. What books are you reading right now, if you don't mind sharing, Mark? And do you have any you'd like to recommend? And we'll give you a moment to think about that. You can type it in. Another book that I just finished, and I'm not particularly good at remembering the title, but this book was all about how a lot of social science, a lot of pop psychology really isn't validated. And a lot of what gets called legitimate science in the pop psychology world is a lot of nonsense. And the author particularly looked at the example of Amy Cuddy, the second most popular TED talker of all time, and her concept of the Wonder Woman pose, giving women more confidence, filling them with testosterone, and helping them. And that resonated with me because I've often felt and talked about why I feel that Amy Cuddy's perspective on using a power pose before giving a speech is absolutely horrible advice. But that's what people want to hear. People want to hear there's a quick gimmick. It's a much easier to hear stand like Wonder Woman for a minute or 30 seconds before a speech and you'll be great. Wow, that seems cute, clever, new, it's novel. That's the kind of thing that gets attention, gets you book deals, gets you 23 million, or at this point, 53 million views on TED. What doesn't get you 53 million views on TED is someone saying, hey, you want to be a good speaker? Limit your messages to 5 points. Have a story for each one. Practice on video until it's great. Test it on other people. That will not get you 53 million views on TED. That will get you about 53 views. Sorry if I sound bitter about that, but the Amy Cuddy one is definitely a classic of, I think, pop psychology run amok. Mark Bender is recommending Robert Morris's book, Beyond Blessing. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that very much. I do appreciate it. We are coming into our final segment of our hour today. We try to come to you every week this time for about an hour. Again, it's free flowing, it's free form. You get to put topics on the table, ask questions, comments, disagree, advance your own agenda, promote whatever you want to talk about. It is an open forum. Let's check in again with our co-host and my colleague and our great Facebook manager, Barb Tomlin. Barb, anything you can share with us about things you've been learning in your Facebook studies and all the other activities and pages you're involved with?
Well, as far as Facebook goes, we are about, if you follow Mark Zuckerberg, he ran a test trial of the new audio app and for Facebook. It does look very similar to Clubhouse. And for Facebook groups.
Wait a minute. You're telling me Facebook would look at what some other company was doing that's gaining a lot of traction and excitement and copy the same thing? Surely.
And what is new in that? Excuse me. But tomorrow, I am participating in training for using the audio rooms in Facebook groups. And so as soon as I go through that, we'll do that with TJ's group. So you can at least come on via audio, because I'm determined, folks, if we just, the voice is number one. So, and I have lived, I'm going to confess this right here before you and everyone in the world. Most of my life, I've lived with the story that, oh, your voice is so young. And so it's too young. Does your mommy know you're calling? Most of my life. And I used to, because back in the days, I dialed for dollars through E.F. Hutton. And there is nothing, and I was in real estate, and there's just nothing that brings you down. And it says, does your mommy know you're on the phone today? And so the thing is, we got the voice that you've all heard about around the world and the music entertainment. It is your voice first. Podcasting is exploding after we've tried it once before. Now everybody is wanting to know the audio side. We can do that from anywhere. It's just the voice. We're connecting with the voice. So there are no more excuses. Just please press the button and join us. You can do that live within our Facebook group anytime. And just as TJ said, put it to practice and get her done. So that's all.
And the beauty of voice is you don't have to dress up, you don't have to have makeup on, you can be doing other things. You can be multitask. You can listen to and participate while going for a walk, driving in a car. So every medium has its own strengths and weaknesses. And if you go back 15 years before social media and everything took off, and people still thought in terms of broadcast TV, commercial radio, newspapers, print, traditionally radio was the least prestigious. The big superstars, Oprah dominated TV. You had the New York Times columnists, the ability to dominate the conversation in the United States with what's printed on the front page. Radio is sort of an afterthought, but if you dug a little deeper, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, even 15 years ago, in terms of minutes per day, again, I'm talking about pre-social media, before the internet was quite as big, people actually spent more minutes per day listening to radio. And radio hosts were actually the highest paid people. Howard Stern made a lot more money than Oprah Winfrey. Rush Limbaugh, who passed away within the last year, made more money than any TV talk show host or certainly any newspaper commentator or columnist. Paul Harvey, a name many of you may not be familiar with. He's passed away probably 10 years ago, but he was on the radio from, I believe, the 1940s until just about 10 years ago for about 70 years, and had huge, huge reach and made just tens and tens of millions of dollars a year, decade after decade after decade. The power of radio and audio, I should say now, with podcasting. There's an intimacy to the voice. There's a comfort level. You get to feel like you know someone in the way you don't sort of staring at a screen 10 feet away in your living room or even a screen on your computer. So every medium has its own strengths and weaknesses. I've been a host on about 7 different radio networks and half a dozen stations. None of them made me as successful as Rush Limbaugh or Paul Harvey, but it is a fascinating medium. And it is interesting to see with Clubhouse. By the way, Barbara, I don't know if I told you, I am on Clubhouse now. I haven't participated yet, but I am on Clubhouse.
Well, I am too. So I will look you up. It's not so bad. I got that iPhone, like I'd been, telling you, I'll eventually get there, and I did do that. I did go up on stage for the first time this week. It's not so bad, but what I've seen from Facebook looks pretty doggone good. So if you don't have to leave where you're at, so much the better. So, and obviously there's a lot more infrastructure. Jake, did you want to join us for these last couple seconds? We're getting ready to wrap up here, and our TJ, is that okay with you?
Sure. I did. If Jake has a word, we'll let him hop back in. Otherwise, I wanted to thank Shiv for participating. Shiv also says, persons I admire for their communication skills from my country are Sandeep Mashwari, first person to get to 1 million YouTube subscribers in India, and Dr. Vivek Bindral, a business coach. I think I've actually seen both of them. And there's certainly a lot of fantastic speakers everywhere in the world. Every country has great speakers. In India, because you've got more than 1 billion people, just the top 1% is such a huge number. The top 1% of speakers are just fabulous and world class. So, Shiv, thank you so much. Sure.
try. He's one of our students, Akash, that's trying to get in. Let's just see if we can get him, and we'll try that. And otherwise, we'll pull up Jake and call it a show. Let's see.
Okay.
He's actually muted his mic, so
Okay.
I think he's
And this is Akash?
uh-huh.
Okay. Akash, thanks so much for joining us. We hope you can join us next week live. And we're out of time right now. We are going to have to sign off, but appreciate you trying to reach out. And next week, whether it's you post a question or come on live with video or just audio, we would love to have you. I'm TJ Walker on behalf of Barb Tomlin and Jake Sen. I want to thank you for your time. We'll see you next week. Bye.